We had some interesting quotes, or an interesting quote from Andretti Global's president. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, there is one thing, one thing we need to talk about first. We'll go into more detail once it's made official, assuming that this isn't a mean, cruel joke. 2311 today decided to tease something. So if you don't know, they've run a part-time car, the number 50 car this year, because it's Mobil 1's 50th anniversary. They're a sponsor, and they wanted to rebrand it to the 50, but usually it used to be the 67. We saw Kamui Kobayashi at Coda, Corey Heim at Nashville. Well, now they're teasing a new driver. And in this little teaser video, I'm no expert on silhouettes. I'm no expert on foreheads, but I'm pretty confident that is the one and only Indy 500 winner, NASCAR at Watkins Glen winner, Formula One winner too, by the way, Juan Pablo Montoya. I might be crazy. Please tell me if I'm crazy in the comments, but that looks like Juan Pablo Montoya to me. If it's not, then, well, darn. I got my hopes up, and whoever else is watching this video's hopes up for nothing. But that looks like Juan Pablo Montoya. If it is, we will talk about Juan in a video. We're going to have fun. I hope he's coming back. If I had to guess, it'd be Watkins Glen, a track that he has won at. But that would be so darn fun if Juan Pablo Montoya came back for a one-off. And if it's not true, guess I'll cry myself to sleep. Anyway, speaking of Indy 500 winner, IndyCar legend Juan Pablo Montoya, let's talk about another IndyCar team. Man, I'm not going to lie, I'm proud of that transition. Anyways, Andretti. Mario Andretti is the big name, the one that everyone knows. He won the Indianapolis 500. He won the Daytona 500. He won a Formula One World Championship. So much accomplished by him and also by his family in motorsports across the board. It's a worldwide recognized name, recognized brand, and they have continued to do their work in IndyCar and Extreme E and other various motorsports. And of course, the big news headline is they're trying to get into Formula One. Formula One has been saying, yeah, cool, let's do it. The FIA, though, that's a different story. They're more stubborn. They don't want to have an 11th team, and they let unserious teams in or something. It's a whole deal. I could get more into it right now. I don't want to. It's just stupid. Anyways, well, there was a quote from Andretti Global President JF Thormann, and just listen to this quote.
We're the only ones that compete in the amount of series that we do, and in the ambition that Mike still has of, we still have to close the loop, obviously, with Formula One. That's well documented, and hopefully NASCAR. And
well, isn't that quite the interesting quote? Obviously, the big focus there, Formula One, as I said, Andretti trying their best to get on the Formula One grid however they can, wanting to have that partnership with Cadillac Power Units, get into F1, compete in F1, be the American team, even though Haas is still there. But anyways, point being, he also mentions NASCAR in this. And Andretti, as I said, worldwide recognized name, and also Mario Andretti raced in NASCAR for a bit, won a Daytona 500. I think he's still the only one in history to win a Daytona 500, an Indy 500, and a Formula One World Championship. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think he's still the only one. So they want to expand their horizons. They want to go into these different types of motorsports, and now NASCAR has been listed. There's been speculation. There's been connections. We're about to talk about that. But now they have openly said NASCAR is on their radar about potential future exploration, if that's the right word. But here's the connections. I said we're going to talk about some connections. You remember connect the dots? That's essentially what we're going to do here. We have a couple of dots in different directions, different areas, but Andretti connects to them. And it's quite the timing if you ask me. So Andretti, as I said, they have been in IndyCar. That's one of their most known things. They want to get into F1. They've got all these things going on. Well, here's connection number one. In IndyCar, they are sponsored by Gainbridge. They have a significant amount of money from Gainbridge. They have a lot of partnerships with Gainbridge. We see it on Colton Herta's car. Gainbridge is a big financial partner with Andretti Autosport. Well, let's look at the dot over here. This dot over here is Spire Motorsports. You know who Spire Motorsports has a lot of connections with, who they have a lot of funding from? Oh, would you look at that. It's Gainbridge. Wow, that's incredible. Now, this just could be me just throwing a weird coincidence out there, but think about it. Gainbridge has this connection. Gainbridge is based in Indianapolis, which is where Andretti Global is based, where their IndyCar team is, where everything for them is, in a sense, where they want their Formula One headquarters to be. Indianapolis is where they are. Gainbridge is where they are, or Indianapolis is where Gainbridge is. Sorry, English is hard sometimes. Anyways, that's one connection. So if Andretti were to come into NASCAR, would they potentially team up with Spire? Would they get a charter from Spire? Would they do some type of collaboration with Spire? That would be my first question. And that could be just me spewing something out and not knowing anything and just completely guessing. And it's actually just coincidence, but it would make sense with that connection. Now it's time for connection number 2. Well, there have been reports over the last year or so. NASCAR, obviously, for years now, over a decade now, really, has wanted a new manufacturer to come into the sport. We used to have multiple more. We had Dodge in the sport way back in the day, Oldsmobile. But most recently, Dodge is the one who has left, and we've been left with 3: Chevy, Toyota, and Ford, obviously. But talks have ramped up in the last year, or the reports, I should say, have ramped up about Honda potentially joining NASCAR. Well, who would they join with? When would they join? They got to make their own engines. How would that process go? How long would that process take? Everything has to get approved. And then, of course, teams have to switch from whatever they're on, or potentially a new team. And Andretti, oh, would you look at this? Oh, wow, their Indy cars are powered by Honda. Wow, that's another connection right there. Would you look at that? So I just named 2 things, but I'm sure you could find other things. But there's a couple big connections, which is financial backing, Gainbridge, and then an engine supplier, a manufacturer, Honda, that if it works out, if everything just comes together, if Honda decides to enter into NASCAR, let's call it 2028, 2029, Spire decides to team up with Andretti, and all of a sudden they switch to Honda, we could suddenly have Andretti in NASCAR. And there's also the chance that none of that happens. This guy was inaccurate, or not inaccurate, but he spoke too soon. They're not quite ready to jump into NASCAR. They want to get the Formula One thing figured out first, and then they take a further step, wait a few years, wait to get into NASCAR. But it is an interesting thought. Andretti's such a big name, such a big brand. To have them in NASCAR would be a huge deal. It would be a lot of eyeballs. It would be a lot of good publicity. And also, I think that Andretti, I do not think they would want to be a back marker. I don't think they would want sitting around in the back. They may have growing pains at the beginning if they were to join NASCAR, but down the road, they would want to be top competitors. They would want to compete for championships, win races, win multiple races, whatever it may be. So I think this could be a hugely positive thing for NASCAR. Hopefully it comes to fruition. Hopefully it turns into something, or maybe it doesn't, and NASCAR doesn't work out for them because the Formula One thing just takes over for them. But very interesting quote. I might have overanalyzed it. I might have overthought it. I overthink a lot, but I just thought those 2 connections with Honda and Gainbridge, I thought that was a really good coincidence, a really good tie-in to Andretti, and a direct tie-in, I might add. So maybe it's nothing, as I said. Maybe it's something. But will Juan Pablo Montoya be back in NASCAR? Will Andretti eventually join NASCAR? If it happens, it's not going to be next year. It's not going to be 2 years from now. I would guess they wait for Honda, maybe, if Honda joins. There's a ton of questions here. But as I said, nothing confirmed, just a quote that I wanted to really talk about. So thank you for watching this video. We have another championship case, unless more news decides to break tonight. The championship case for Brad Keselowski will be a late night video. So hopefully you guys are ready for that, but I'll put it in the playlist even if you miss it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your thoughts are on both of those topics, Juan Pablo Montoya and Andretti, and I'll see you tonight in the Brad Keselowski championship case.